So a lot of people are interested in doing neck wraps and some other fiber wielding rope dart style type moves. But neck wraps are kind of scary when you're first learning. So I want to break down how to do through wraps in general, how to learn them more easily, and we can work our way up to the neck, but we're actually going to start learning on the arm. So the basic idea is that you want to make contact with your limb and have it wait for the prop to wrap all the way back around so that it's continuing on before you move over to the other side of your body. So that looks something like this. You can do it kind of at the wrist or elbow. And it releases on the other side of you. So that's really important. You're starting spinning in a plane here where this plane is safe. It's not going to accidentally swing and hit you. And by the time you get back here, you've ended in a back plane that's all the way behind you, so it's also able to spin there and not hit you. So it looks something like this. You can use some hand movement and flipping the wrist to guide it. If you move too quickly, if you only kind of get to here and it hasn't really fully wrapped around and continued onward, then it's probably going to slide off. In the poi world, sometimes we call this a kiss, where it just sort of like touches and slides off. Or you can see it from the back to the front. See, that just sort of touched my arm, slid along, came off, but it didn't really fully wrap around my arm and unwrap. You might even want to just practice like letting it wrap around a few times and redoing that just so you're comfortable. So you really want to let the prop wrap all the way around the body part and continue heading forward, so that as you flip your wrist over, the prop is swinging out away from you as it goes from front to back. If the prop is swinging out away from you during the transition, it's way far away from coming back and hitting you as you transition. So those are sort of the things you want to look for. You want to get comfortable wrapping around, watching it come all the way around and continue out there for your flip from front to back, flip from front to back, and just kind of be here and guide it as it comes off here. So you may have to get comfortable with this position here where I'm a little bit twisted. You might even want to simplify by actually standing with your body facing a little bit more this way, so that you're starting over here, wrapping, coming over to this side, and keeping it controlled once it's gotten to this other plane. From there you can do the same thing. You wrap, watch it come around the arm, and once it's gotten a full wrap and is swinging away from you, transition to the front and let it come off. Like so. You will notice that front to back, back to front feels a little bit different. Another way to think about this, if I'm facing this way, is that this is home side, the side that's swinging the prop. So home side to cross side back to home side. Those feel a little bit different because on one side, on this side, I'm touching the top. It's coming around one half swing, two half swing, and on this side, it's touching the bottom and coming around one extra. So on this side, it actually gets a little bit more twisted up, which means it'll feel a little bit more controlled and slide less. You just have to kind of play with both and get used to the feelings are slightly different and both can be easily controlled. It's the same basic concept whether you're wrapping at your wrist, your elbow, all the way up into the shoulder and armpit. So you can start playing with that, where I'm just going to wrap around my wrist. That was an extra wrap. Here's the more minimal one. So this is just at the wrist. This is almost like catching it and controlling it. And in fact, if at first this feels really scary, you could literally try catching and controlling and releasing. So catch, control, release, if you want to build up to it that way. But eventually you don't have to catch it. You can just wrap around your wrist and flip your wrist over to direct where the through wrap is going. If that's comfortable, you could also try it at the elbow. And eventually, you can work it all the way up to at the shoulder and armpit. Those are ultimately all the same, they're different flavors of the same movement and pretty much feel the same. You just have to figure out how to work with each one of those parts of your arm. So that was me swinging forward. You know, if my prop is spinning like a wheel, the wheel's rolling forward, as opposed to if I reverse direction, if the prop is spinning like a wheel, the wheel is rolling backwards compared to where my body is looking. And you want to practice both. So we did forward. You also want to play with in reverse. That was an extra wrap and hit myself. Apparently I'm not as comfortable with reverse on this side of my body. Which is why it's good to practice all the different combinations eventually. And of course eventually you get armpit, like so. Okay, so once you've gotten comfortable with those basic ideas with your arm, you can apply the same thing to your neck. Typically, I would say it's usually a little easier to go from front to back. And so what we're trying to do is cleanly lean our neck forward into this front plane area so that you can get a wrap around your neck. As this swings up and over, lean back so that it directs the prop to unwind behind you. So if we're swinging forward this way, it's going to come down on the back of the neck. That looks like this. You'll notice, just like I kind of flip my wrist in a bit of a figure eight motion, you'll notice that I didn't just move my head back, which I could do, but it would be a little rougher. I moved my head back and kind of swung my neck around in the direction of spin to help guide the prop more cleanly back behind me. Like so. If we were to do it in reverse, the prop's going to come up and touch the front of your neck, near your Adam's apple. So this one maybe could feel a little scarier, but as long as you have plenty of length, the prop will be swinging it will be wrapping fairly slow as it comes around you. So you might want to very gently play with, like letting it wrap a few times. And you can just have your hand here ready to stop it if it's wrapping up too quickly. That's why it's nice to have a padded grip, or better yet, at first start practicing this with like a sock pulley or something like that that's really soft. So if you do hit yourself, it won't hurt. What the reverse one looks like from front to back, it's going to start at the neck, wrap around, and we're going to put it back. Like so. Could even leave it back there. And then of course, the other two options are starting from the back and coming to the front. Go with forwards again. When I lean back this time, the whip is going to come down on my neck. So this is going to be another one where it touches your Adam's apple, and you just have to feel comfortable with that and move smoothly and gently. So it's going to touch on your Adam's apple. It's going to swing. Let me show you from behind. Touches on my Adam's apple, swings around my neck, and as it's swinging up, then I look forward and it unwraps. So that looks like this. You could get an extra wrap there if you wanted. As long as you have enough length that you're swinging from. It's really short. So this is actually an important point when you're swinging a prop. The speed with which this thing swings is dictated by its length. It's actually a lot like a pendulum like a short pendulum swings quick. The longer it gets, the slower it swings. And that includes swinging all the way around in a circle. So if you're trying to do this with a really short prop, it's going to be really fast and hectic and maybe hit you in the face. But if you've got a much longer length, then you have a lot more time. You got time to move smoothly and slowly with it. Like that. That was a lot less hectic. Okay, so the last basic neck wrap from back to front is spinning, in this case, I'm spinning outward with my controlling hand. I'm a lefty, so I'm spinning with my left hand. So if you're a righty, I'm basically your mirror image. But I think, and by the way, this is when you're swinging props, this is kind of a good way to get your bearings. When you look at the hand that's swinging, if the prop is swinging up your midline and out, you can think of that as outward. And if the prop is swinging up the outside and down your midline, you're swinging inward. If I turn this way that I've been turning, this would be like reverse. But since we're starting here, it feels a little different to the body. It's a little easier to think of it as outward or inward. So from swinging outward, it goes down and out, and then it's coming up our center line behind us, and it has to come up around the neck. So this one's maybe the most complicated neck wrap at first. Let me show it to you from the back. So here I am, I'm swinging outward. I'm bringing it behind me. I'm gonna lean my neck back so that it makes contact. So this is what it's gonna look like from the back. We can even do a shorter, faster version with one less wrap. And here's what it looks like from the front. Or the shorter version. The short version is almost a kiss. It's like just wrapped around enough to get a good wrap and then come off on the other side. But I really have to kind of direct it with my neck movement right there at the end because it's about to slide at that point because it didn't fully wrap around. So watch that one more time. It's already, by the time it's touched the back of my neck, I'm already directing it that way and my head's starting to move forward. And it could start to slide off here unless I lean this way and let it come down and direct it with my neck that way. Like so. As opposed to a full wrap. Like so. I feel like this last one, the outward swinging back to front, is probably the most tricky of these basic neck wraps. You can eventually even apply this to leg wraps. Cool, so hopefully that helps you guys figure out how to get into through wraps, arm wraps, neck wraps, that sort of thing without killing yourself, bonking yourself a bunch. Once you get used to it, it actually is really smooth and easy and it's not super scary, but you do need to work up to it. We're gonna keep coming out with other tutorials and inspiring videos, so make sure to like and subscribe our YouTube and follow us on Facebook and Instagram so that you don't miss any of the content we have coming up. Here, I'll start it from here.
Ooh.
And here comes the crazier one.
Whoa.